How you doing, everyone? Welcome back. This is my buddy Chester, who does not want to be up here. He's, well, he's kind of his own guy, if you know what I mean. He's a nice cat. He just, well, on his terms. But anyway, I didn't come here to talk about Chester. He just happened to be here when I started the video. And, well, what did we come to talk about? Let's talk about that situation over there in Iran, huh? Israel and Iran. Now, let's get something straight right here, right now. There is no good guy in this war. There is no good guy. The Israelis are not the good guys. The Iranians are not the good guys. And quite frankly, when you've got two bad guys fighting against each other, you just let them fight, right? At least that's the way I've always thought of it. If there's a fight going on and it's not your fight, you stay out of it. Stay out. What's funny, though, is, Donald Trump is quite fond of saying that Hamas would have never attacked Israel had he been president, starting, that whole flare-up over there that, never mind that it's an ancient conflict, but yeah, that flare-up started out. He also said that Russia would have not invaded Ukraine had he been president. Because everybody's so afraid of him that people don't start wars when he's president, right? So is he saying then that Netanyahu is not afraid of him? Or is he saying that Israel would not have attacked Iran if Biden had been president? Is that what he's saying? Because you know what? I'm going to say that. I'm going to say it. Whether it's true or not, who cares? Right? Doesn't matter. There's no way of knowing that, is there? Just like, there's no way of knowing if Trump were president, the Israel-Hamas conflict wouldn't have reignited, and there's no way of knowing that Russia would not have attacked Ukraine. It has nothing to do with who the President of the United States is. Right? Israel attacking Iran might have something to do with who the President of the United States is. Might. Because everybody knows that the United States has been an ally of Israel since 1947, when Israel became a country. Everybody knows that. We were actually the first country to recognize Israel as their own country. We were the first. We've been allies ever since then. You can argue whether or not they've been a good ally, but that's not the point of this discussion. Some presidents have been more supportive of their aggressive actions toward their neighbors. Actually most have been supportive of their actions toward their neighbors, whether aggressive or defensive. And yeah, sometimes it is defensive, but then that defense turns into offense. Right? It's... You only use enough force to stop the conflict that you're in, right? If you get into a street fight, right? I mean, a fist fight outside of a bar, right? You and another guy get into a fist fight outside your local bar. Are you going to pull a gun? Yeah, some people would, but not in a fist fight. You don't do that. I mean, first of all, why are you in a fist fight at all? But, you know, no matter who started it, sure, you need to defend yourself if the other guy starts it and doesn't let up. You have to defend yourself. I get it. But then when you get the upper hand, right, and you knock him on his wallet, well, let it go. He's down. It's over. Right? At least that's the way it should go. And, you know, I get it. Wars are not that simple. I know this as a veteran. They're not that simple. But you don't commit genocide when somebody launches I don't even remember exactly what happened. It was, what, October of last year? Maybe the year before. I don't know. Whenever it was, right? That Hamas attacked Israel, right? Unprovoked, Israel has the right to defend themselves. What they don't have a right to do is just start wiping out all the Palestinians and stopping humanitarian aid from getting in, right? If you want to eliminate Hamas, that's one thing. How do you do that? You don't do it by eliminating all Palestinians. But now they've got the war that they have wanted for decades. Netanyahu specifically has wanted this war for decades with Iran. 30 years ago, Netanyahu was saying that Iran is months or even weeks away from developing a nuclear weapons, right? Just a matter of months or maybe even weeks. And it didn't happen. And he's been saying that ever since. You know, he said it 30 years ago. He's saying it today. And it hasn't been true in 30 years. And it's still not true today. Does Iran enrich uranium? Yes. Why? Because they used nuclear power for their electricity. Could they develop a weapon if they wanted to? Yeah, probably. But they haven't been. Now, not that the Iranian government or any government for that matter is trustworthy, but the deal that they had with Obama, you know, the Iran nuclear deal that Obama signed, that Trump, by the way, shredded, they were following it. They were following it. Trump decided, screw you, we don't want this deal. We don't want you to get a nuclear weapon, so we're going to shred this deal preventing you from getting a nuclear weapon. But they still haven't developed a nuclear weapon. Could they? Of course. Of course they could. But they haven't. Inspectors have gone in and they're just not. You know, I mean, they have nuclear power plants. Yes, they have nuclear facilities. And now, Donald Trump is out there talking about using tactical nukes. Tactical nukes. Yeah, great idea, isn't it? So it's not like a massive, however many kiloton, nuclear bomb that's gonna just obliterate all of Iran, right? Where the fallout is going to be felt in, Afghanistan and Iraq and all the other countries that surround it. It's not like he's going to turn Tehran into a parking lot. It's not that big of a nuke that he's talking about. It's still a nuke, right? And people who don't need to die will. So, how could that spark a chain reaction, right? First of all, we are the only country who has ever used nuclear weapons in warfare. Remember Japan, 1945? I mean, you probably don't, but you remember it from your history books, right? Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But here's how it could spark a chain reaction, right? Some people are worried that Russia would nuke us because they are allies with Iran. They're not that stupid. Putin is not that stupid. What he might do, though, is launch a nuke into Kiev. Wipe out Ukraine with a nuke. Right? Ukraine, of course, not being a nuclear power because they turned over all of their nuclear weapons in exchange for a promise of security from the United States. Where have we been on that? Why are we not defending them? But then you have China, a nuclear power. China and Taiwan, that's an ongoing conflict. Is Taiwan part of China? Is Taiwan its own country? Might China use a nuke against Taiwan? That's another part of the chain reaction that could happen, right? And then you have Pakistan and India, both nuclear powers, both hate each other and have for a long time. They just recently had a flare-up in their dispute over Kashmir. So, might one nuke the other, sparking a nuclear war right there in Asia? Yeah, brilliant, isn't it? And then, of course, North Korea, nuclear power, and they hate everybody because, well, Lil Kim is, he's Lil Kim. But, yeah. Maybe, just maybe, we might want to sit this one out, right? And if Israel, also a nuclear power, decides to nuke Iran, I don't know why. I pronounce it both ways. I don't know why. But if Israel decides to nuke Iran, well, then they should face world condemnation for that. Sanctions globally, like from the entire world. And, we should just make life miserable for them. Not in a violent way, but we should make life miserable for them. Anyway, I'll catch you next time.